Anyway, so there's still more to talk about with this follow-up. We talked about Funimation not engaging with Vic Mignogna. We also talked about now that there's also conspiracies, right? Hearing me stutter like Porky Pig. Now there are conspiracies about not just like how Funimation conducted the investigation, but that Funimation are secret liberals. Ooh! We like fucking what's his, oh god, come on, Pee Wee Herman. You said the magic word. Like it's just SJWs. Like, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Like, are they secret liberals? And then you realize, and I didn't want to bring politics into this at all because I fucking hate that this has been politicized. I don't want politics to be brought in this in all because guess what? Some of these women that have claimed to have been sexually harassed by Vic Mignogna, they can be Republicans too. I don't know if you guys know this, but Republicans can also be sexually assaulted. It's true. I know it's crazy to some people, but it's true. So with some of the stuff that's come out, you know, these conspiracy theories, stuff like that, that Funimation is run by secret SJWs, despite the fact that Gen Fukunaga, a Republican who has actually worked on helping fund Rick Scott's campaign, a Republican, is still working with Funimation. Now, I had to take a drink of water, was going to die. Now, that some people are saying, oh, but Gen Fukunaga has stepped down, and Sony runs Funimation, and, you know, because they own a majority stock, and Sony is in California, so liberal, and I'm like, look, Sony just wants to make money. And Vic Mignogna was making them big bucks, they'd probably sweep this under the rug. Like, this is showing that maybe, perhaps, Vic Mignogna is not making Funimation as much money as he used to. Now, does that mean... oh god, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, first and foremost, the company is out to protect their own image.
Yes, but the thing too, yes, they're out to protect their own image, but also as well, like, what do you think about them being secret SJWs? Like, this is a corporation that loves low corporate tax rates that actually get enacted by Republican presidents. I'm sorry that I got political here, but this was politicized long before we made this video.
Yeah.
By people saying it's the SJWs and the NPCs, when we don't know anything about the political affiliations of anyone who has actually accused Vic Mignogna, whose face is involved.
Right.
Right, and whose name is involved. We know nothing. We know some people be like, oh, but Monica Rial, she has different colored hair.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
what does that say about her? And it's like, she has different colored hair. Like, I have no idea how she votes. Like, right. What were you going to say?
I mean, you even said it before, you know, sexual assault doesn't have a political side or a gender.
No.
It can happen to anyone.
Mm-hmm. That's what's just so odd. Where it's just like, damn you SJWs talking about this. And I'm like, talking about alleged sexual assault? Dear God, what are you saying about people who aren't SJWs? What the fuck? Like, because we've gotten that in our comment. We've gotten that in our comment section. I'm like, what are you saying about people? But anyway, so yeah, all of these conspiracy theories coming around. And again, some people are going to call it the Streisand effect. Tristan, do you know what the Streisand effect is? Have you ever heard of it?
So I've probably heard it mentioned. But...
yeah, so if I remember correctly, it was about Barbra Streisand. This was a while ago. I want to say it was when you and I were like literally in diapers, right? Barbra Streisand was upset about something being posted online by someone. I believe it might have been some type of Photoshop of her. Finally, we're talking about Photoshops. But it was something that was posted online. But remember, this is during the internet's, like, it wasn't the way it is now. So literally one holy shit, what time is it? One person had seen that Photoshop of her, or that, like, that conspiracy about her, not conspiracy, but that fake news about her. And then she was so upset by that she got her lawyers to contact that guy and tell him to take it down and take him to court if he didn't. Now, at the time, I believe 4 people had seen it. Her, I think one other person, and her 2 lawyers. When it went to court, millions of people had seen it.
Right.
So therefore, it coined the Streisand effect. Had she left it alone, nobody would have seen it or cared. But because she talked about it, now everyone knows about it. Now, some people are going to say, so about these conspiracies, Matt, Streisand effect, bro. But the thing is that these were going on before we even made this video. So this conversation is going to go on whether or not we're talking about it or not. So we might as well talk about it and debunk these really dumb conspiracy theories. All right, guys, so there's a few more things we have to talk about before wrapping this up. Again, I know, long video. We're going to try to edit it down as best as we can for YouTube. But let's look at this story right here. This is an allegation being brought up by someone who actually, according to her claims, knew Vic Mignogna before he was an anime voice actor. And also, we're trying to talk about these in order, so sorry if it seems jumbled up in a weird way. We're trying to talk about these stories in order rather than compiling them in a certain way, because then we have to trip over certain things and other things. So let's actually open this up right here. And let's read her story, especially for you guys who are listening to the podcast. So she says her name is Michelle. She has had a Twitter account since January 2017. So she doesn't seem like she's a new person who just started this up just to troll. But again, you know, you want to take these with a little bit of grain of salt, but we still should talk about them because, especially what came at the end of the story. So let's talk about this right now. So she says, it's making me crazy how folks assume allegations against hashtag Vic Mignogna are made up or blown out of proportion due to his affectionate upbringing. Nah, y'all. I knew him before he was famous, and I am at liberty to share my story, so why the hell not? Maybe it'll help someone. She then goes on to say, sophomore year of high school, I was cast in a spring play. Our teacher brought on a 26-year-old talent as assistant director. He worked as a cameraman at the church affiliated with our private Christian school and produced Christian music videos. His name is Vic Mignogna. Vic would have me stay after rehearsal to work on my character. Then he'd invite me to sit with him while he played piano and sang love songs. I thought of him as a handsome, caring mentor who looked up to and had a girlish crush on. After the play and school year ended, Vic started stopping by my summer job. Then one afternoon when I was out for a bike ride, he pulled over and told me he really wanted me to see a new worship video he'd been working on. He asked me to follow him to his house. I did. Now I want to pause for a second. Now I'm not saying that, again, all of these accusations are 100% true. Again, we talk about these allegations because we want them to be heard. We want these stories to be heard. We want these alleged victims to be heard. But we're not saying that all of these are 100% accurate. But it is interesting to see that Vic Mignogna seems to, if this is true, have an MO, which is, hey, I would like to show you a video. Again, if it is true, because it happened with Monica Reel, and it seems to have happened with this woman as well. And in the IO9 article, there's also some stories about it as well. I don't know if they're talking about her stories again, because some people have assumed names because they want to keep their privacy intact. So still, I'm not saying that he's done this, but if he has, it does seem interesting that his MO is, let me show you a video. Now, let's scroll down. Okay, so once there, I felt, one, that I should have not come, and two, obligated to stay. I decided to watch the video and talk to him about it a while, to be nice, then leave. I didn't want to seem childish or worse, rude and ungrateful, but everything about it felt so off. Vic and his roommate had a tense conversation. Could have sworn I heard the guy ask how old I was before he stormed out of the house. Vic retreated to his room, then came out shirtless and smelling even stronger than usual of Halston cologne. I was confused and told him I should go. He coaxed me to stay. He put his arms around me and stuck his tongue in my ear. I told him my mother would be wondering where I was. I really needed to go. He said, let's just enjoy each other, and pushed the weight of his body on me. I insisted I had to go. He never struck me or injured me or tore my clothes from my body, but he did not back off either. I pushed back against him, repeatedly insisting that I had to go. Finally, he said, fine, get out, leave. His eyes, once kind and mesmerizing, were now ice cold and cruel. He hated me. I ran out in shame, hating myself. I rode around aimlessly in tears before finally returning home. The inevitable question will be, did I report it? Unfortunately, no. It's hard to convey just how toxic / controlling the patriarchal purity culture of fundamental Xanity is. Now, before we go on with this, some of you are probably wondering what I was wondering. What the fuck is Xanity? That's actually a spin-off. I don't know if she's saying Xanity as in trying not to say Christianity, but I have heard that Xanity is like a spin-off. Like, there are different spin-offs of the Christian faith, and they are one that's a bit more puritanical, from what I've heard. So either way, because she's talking about this having happened to her, I believe, in Pennsylvania. So moving forward, she says, Who would I tell? My whole world, parents, school, church, social circle, even where I worked, hell, the whole damn town was all tied up in the ministry Vic represented and worked for. I literally did not know anyone who wasn't inside that bubble. Now, before we go on, I just want to mention someone like Tristan and I, in a weird way, not that we're saying we don't believe her, but we actually don't understand that mentality because I don't know about you, Tristan, but me, I grew up not in Manhattan or not in Brooklyn, but I am from Queens, and just kind of going around the city in different ways, it's hard to think about like everybody knowing each other, right?
Yeah,
But we're
it's
yeah,
kind of the idea of a small town mentality.
very small town. So I think some people from small towns might potentially get it. Not that they believe it, might potentially get it more. But I think maybe some people in bigger cities listening to this or watching this are like, really? Like, you don't, like, no one? In some cases, yeah. I mean, again, it's hard for me to
Or that it can be portrayed as a stereotype.
Well, no, it's just hard for me to wrap my head around because, again, I'm someone who I'm not necessarily from a big city, and I am from a. It's funny when some people are like, "But Matt, you're in New York." Yes, but Tristan is also in New York, but he's in Long Island, so it's different shades of New York. Especially you go upstate, you go to Staten Island, a lot of different shades of New York. You know, it's not just Manhattan as the entirety of New York. But anyway, going on with what she's saying, she says, added to that, I felt ashamed/embarrassed for having imagined that this man had seen any talent or promise in me. I had been naive, obviously the dumbest girl in the cast, which was why he singled me out in the first place. He truly was a gifted actor, and I was a fool. I barely ate or slept for weeks. I did write in my journal, which my mother eventually read. She said, I can't believe you went to his house. We won't tell your father about this. So, look, regardless of what's going on here, like I don't know this woman, right? I don't know Michelle, but can we just say that if this is to be believed, fuck your mom, and like I'm sorry, right? But fuck your mom, like Jesus Christ, if this happens, like fuck, dude, like she's your mother, and her idea was you went to a strange man's house. Like, at the time he was 26, he wasn't, like, you know, in his 50s like now, but still, he wasn't a baby either.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she says, I told one friend who confronted Vic at church. He acted hurt/offended, insisting I never even kissed her. I hesitated. I mean, he'd never kissed me on the mouth. Does sticking your tongue in someone's ear count? I don't know. I felt like such a stupid girl. And then she says, let's see. She says, I continued to see Vic at church. And she says in parentheses, I had to go because, again, it's a puritanical area, very church heavy, potentially small town, and she's 16 years old. What's she going to tell her parents? No? Like, all she has to do is, like, play one game of D&D and they'd send her to church camp. Because this is 89.
Yeah.
This is in 89, right? So it's not even like a funny joke, like now we're in 2019. It's like, no, she was in 89, right? This is when she alleged that it happened. She says, or not when she alleged it happened, when she says he's 26 and it's not 2019, we just do the math, right? 89. So she says, I both feared him and longed for closure with him. I wanted to believe that it wasn't so bad. It hadn't actually happened that way at all, that he was a good person. Mostly I wanted to not hurt so much. He eventually moved to Houston and I moved on with my life. Now I've been happily married for 25 years and our kids love anime. I literally choked one afternoon when I heard them talking about Vic Mignogna. Like, it had to be him. I looked it up. It was. Holy fucking shit. And again, that's her talking. That's her saying this. Then the Me Too movement happened. These brave women helped affirm that what had happened to me was 100% wrong and not in any way my fault. I was a student, no older than my daughter is now, and he was nothing short of a predatory staff member. I finally let myself get truly angry. I eventually told my daughter about Vic. She was extremely upset. She loves Ruby Crow with an adoration that folks who aren't fans can't fully comprehend. I hated to hurt her. She agreed to stay far away from him if ever it came to that and warned her friends to do the same. Then came the recent news. He has been fired for sexual harassment. All these years later, do I feel validated? Honestly, it's more of a gut punch. One question haunts me now, though. How many have suffered because I didn't go to police that day? Apparently a lot. I am so sorry. I honestly don't give a shit what happens to Vic. I share this for the victims. I want you to know that the actions of one sad, twisted man do not define you. Fans blinded by his talent and charm cannot devalue you. There is shame, but it is his, not yours. Reject it. May healing begin to take root within you. May it grow into a strength and a power you never knew you were capable of, because you are capable. You are formidable. We are all #MeToo. Now, here's the thing, right? So at this point, people were saying, and I think some of this is understandable, hey, do you happen to have any evidence, like, was he, like, can you show like that he was somehow on staff, like a yearbook? But the problem is that he was brought in temporarily, so he would not be brought in a yearbook, because this was like, he was just a random like church singing guy, and the church was so connected with the school that she was at that there was no reason why he would need to be in the yearbook. It was kind of like bringing in a brother of the faith, right? Not that he is a brother, he isn't a father, you know, Vic Mignogna is not in any way related to the church. But yeah, you know, you do see, even though I'm not saying again that this is 100% accurate, but you do wonder, like, people are wondering, okay, where is the proof? Is there any proof? And then she ended up coming out with this. She said, to reiterate, I share this in solidarity with victims. I don't give a fuck about haters and block without batting an eye. But yes, this was TRBC/LU/LCA. He starred in Annie earlier that spring. I'm a grown woman and way too busy to waste my time lying about this, y'all. And to be fair, some people are saying, like some people are saying to her, the reason why she's like, well, what do you mean you're too busy? She was saying, I was seeing people say, rather, sorry, that they were like, oh, get over this. And it's like, dude, she has a husband, potentially. I don't know if it's a husband, she said, but she's married with kids. She's over this. Like, it only came up because one of her kids, because what kid isn't in anime nowadays, right? These kooky weebs, just came out and was like, oh, I love Vic Mignogna. And she was like, oh, fucking God.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, so this is a scan of, oh, geez. Let's open this in a different tab. This is a scan of apparently him working at, I think it's like she was saying at Liberty Church, because some people are talking about what church it was. I don't want to get into all that. What I do want to get in, because you guys know, you can look that up yourself. But what it says right here is Wednesday, March 1st, 1989, and it says Showtime, Rooster, parentheses Vic Mignogna, Miss Hannigan, and then, you know, someone else, and Lily, someone else, perform a routine in Annie. So even though, yes, someone could say, well, that doesn't prove anything that she said, it proves that she's not making, like, the fact up that he was there.
That he was there, right.
Now, again, you can come to whatever conclusion you want to, but we have to acknowledge that he was there. So you can't just say, like, oh, well, he wasn't there. She's lying completely. She posted it. He was there. Now, again, some people could say that's all it says. Okay, but you can't say that, you know, he wasn't there. That he did not work at that school, at that church in 1989 when he was 26. He's right there. Now, what's interesting is, I don't know, so I don't know what state she was in. I believe it was Pennsylvania. I don't know the state, the age of consent in Pennsylvania at the time. However, she wasn't even 17. She was 16, because she was a sophomore.
Right.
Yeah, and remember too that she wasn't in college. Wait, no, freshman, sophomore. Oh, she was 15.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting that confused. She was 15 years old. So I don't know the age of consent in Pennsylvania, but what I do know one thing is, it doesn't matter what position you're in as an academic, even if it's in college, where in college it's technically okay, but it's frowned upon.
Yeah. And I believe the state was Virginia.
Oh, sorry, Virginia. Yeah. Thank you so. No. Thank you so much, Tristan. Because there was a lot of other information about this, but it isn't in the initial tweet thread, so I didn't want to throw it out there. But still, so yes, so if it was in Virginia or even in Pennsylvania, the point is I don't know what the age of consent was at the time, but what I do know is that Vic Mignogna was 26. He wasn't closer to 18. Because if Vic Mignogna, other than the fact that, of course, this was non-consensual, if Vic Mignogna was 18 years old and was brought in, I don't know how I would feel about it. Again, she says it's non-consensual, so that's what matters the most. But I think the age is also quite relevant as well, because the dude has, if all of these stories do, are all proved to be true, then he has been doing this long before he has actually been in anime.
Right.
And potentially these aren't all just fun little coincidences, like little oopsie daisies, if this is to be believed. Yeah, at a convention. Or apparently at work. You have oopsie daisies at work apparently now, where you just pull people from, behind, from the back of the head. Because someone tried to write it off, not even saying it didn't happen. Some commenter said, oh, it's just roughhousing, come on. And it's like, at work? At the age of, in your 50s? You just do that?
Roughhousing in their workplace.
You just do that to people at work? I mean, I don't know, man. I've never done that at work. So, still, when you look at the situation, it's just one of those things where, again, regardless of what you think about it, it does prove that Vic Mignogna is there, and then you form your own opinion after that. But again, we report on it not to be anti-Vic Mignogna, but to tell you this is the news. And that's why we're also bringing up Vic Mignogna's statement right now as well, which, yes, sadly, I don't have it. Yeah, sadly, I don't have it saved, but thankfully we have it open here. And so we have it open. You guys can see it right over here. It says, "My desire has always been to show appreciation, warmth, and acceptance to my fans of my work. Being part of this community has given both my work and my life so much meaning. If anyone has been made uncomfortable by me, it's not for me to contradict them. It's impossible for me to discern another's personal boundaries. I regret anything I have said or done out of ignorance that has put anyone outside of their comfort zone." So I gotta be honest, right? I know some people were shitting on that online. So we were saying like, hey, come on, that's terrible, really? But I think that even though, yes, he says, hey, my desire is to show appreciation, warmth, and acceptance to fans of my work, still, I think he's the fact that he's acknowledged, like, look, I've definitely made people feel uncomfortable, so I regret that. That's a good thing, and that's a good first step. Now, again, some people, I think that, you know what it is, too? I think the problem is, Tristan, he's had so many apologies or statements thus far. I feel like he needs to just, again, like, I don't know what, if he has a lawyer telling him to do this, then so be it. That's a lawyer telling him to do it. But I feel like he needs to stop. Like, when it comes to comments, like, I think Vic needs to stop. Other than the IO9 article, that was good, where, hey, they reached him for comment, and then he commented. What is he going to say, you know, to those comments, to those allegations? But in this case, I think after this, he shouldn't say anything until it goes to a court of law.
Yeah.
Then say whatever you want to. So he goes on to say, "I love my work dearly, as well as the characters I've had the privilege to portray. But most satisfying of all has been the opportunity to share the love of this art form with fans all around the world. I would have never met any of you without it. Meeting each of you has so enriched my life, and I'm humbled to have received over 1,000 encouraging messages in the last few weeks." Now, I'm not... Look, I'm trying to be as polite as I can when I say this. What the fuck, dude? Like, that had nothing to do with an apology or something. Like, you're literally, like, dude, like, is this to the people that are alleging that you've done things to them? Or is this to your adoring fan base?
Right.
I don't know which anymore. Like, is this an apology? Or is this just a statement saying, I love you all, good night? Like, which one is it? Because you start off saying, look, I'm really sorry if people have felt that I've been inappropriate to them. I want to apologize. Also, I fucking love my fans. Like, dude, leave that for somewhere else. Leave that for your Discord. Like, you know, the Reasonable Rangers Discord. Like, just say that in there and your fans will know. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, whatever you guys think that I think about Vic Mignogna, it's like, I just don't think anyone, if they've been accused of something, should say, I love all of my fans. And I'm humbled that all of you have been nice to me. What? Like, why are you talking about them being so nice to you when people are literally accusing you of not only sexually harassing them, but of a potentially attempted rape?
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, to my colleagues, I have considered you good friends for so many years. We've shared countless wonderful experiences together, and I never meant to do anything to offend or hurt you. Until these last few weeks, I had no idea that any animosity even existed. I've never had anything but respect for you, and I so deeply regret any words or actions that made any of you feel otherwise. Now, again, like I said earlier, look, Marquis, Real, and others have said what they've said. Vic has said what they said. I don't want to be a fucking fence sitter about this, but Vic Mignogna isn't going to, if he didn't do it, isn't going to say, yeah, I did it. Like, who would do that?
Yeah.
So he's saying what he's going to have to say, because why would he admit to it if he didn't do it? And also, you know, it's just frustrating because, again, we have these statements by people who know him very well, who've worked with him and have literally nothing to gain from this. So it's just very hard to, you know, to see where this could go other than a court of law, which I really hope that it does. But one thing that I want to say is, though, is that I don't know Jamie Markey, right? But from what she said, you remember what she said about Vic should go to hell and I want this and that. I have an odd feeling, and again, I haven't even seen her in any like interviews. But do you have a feeling too, Tristan, that she, when reading that part, did like a jerking off motion with her hand? Do you think that she did that? Because I feel like, just from the salty language she uses online, the stuff that I don't think she should be saying, but I feel like she's just like, okay, sure, yeah, right, yeah, because that just comes because that comes off as like dude, like
yeah, hand wave.
Like it's just like, dude, like, because again, I'm not saying he has to agree to it if he didn't do it. It's just like you have to. If you said that to the fans or to the people who said that at conventions, you should probably extend that same courtesy to them as well. Like, honestly, guys, I'm sorry if I've offended you, but he didn't even extend that courtesy. He was just like, I thought we were good, and it's like, if Monica has come up to you several times, you were not good. I mean, she forgave you, sure, but like you were not good. Anyway, so moving on. He says, in many respects, life is about course correction and growth. So many fans have written me over the years about very personal issues and struggles, and I've always done my best to encourage and support them. The truth is that I am as susceptible to struggles and difficulties as anyone. I've identified areas in which I need growth, and I'm taking this time to recommit to God and seeking the help of a counselor. I am committed to putting every effort into improving not only for myself, but for everyone I interacted with. Each of you deserves nothing less. Thank you, Vic Mignogna. Thank you. Like, no, like, seriously, like, he's talking about going to a counselor. That's awesome. Now, some people have tried to say online, but is it one of those counselors? Like, is him talking about recommitting to God. Like, it shouldn't just be a counselor that says, repent for your sins and has him do Hail Marys and and Our Fathers. Right. It should also be someone who tries to get to the root of the issue and says, hey, like, why do you just hug people and not ask them why or think about why? Like, you should look into that psychologically,
right?
When you're
CEO, therapist,
when you're over a certain age. Because here's the thing, right? I'm not gonna say anything bad about a kid who's just like huggies, like the fucking kid's like 8 or something, like, you know what I'm saying, but you have to tell that kid eventually, hey man,
learn that there are personal boundaries.
Yeah, all people don't want hugs. So you can hug mommy, daddy, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, whoever else, right, in the family. You can hug them, but, like, once you get out of that space, it's just like, all right, not everybody wants hugs like that, Like, not everyone is your family. So I hope that him talking about getting help, I really hope he does get that help. And God bless him for getting that help, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if I want it to be directly related to religion, but look, like, I have no problem with him getting that help, right? And some people are saying that it's a hand wave, but I think more so was the stuff about his colleagues and also just the stuff about his fans. Like, I love you guys. Okay, look, we know you love them. Why is that relevant here? Now, the stuff that he says about him, I do think that him talking about correction and growth, again, that's good because everyone should have correction and growth when needed. So he then says, finally, please be kind to one another. The very last thing I want is for anyone to be hatefully targeted, especially not on my behalf. So again, you hear him, guys. You've heard him say this twice, especially while watching our video. So when you go down below and shit on us, do it because you disagree with us, not because you're trying to attack on Vic's behalf. I mean, it's not just about us, too. It's about Monica Reel. It's about Marquis. It's about Sean Schimmel. It's about Chris Sabat. It's about Mars Girl. It's about all these people that are talking about either their experiences or experiences that they've seen people have and are literally getting threats for it. We have not received threats, but we're still getting shit on in a way that, in my opinion, it's like, guys, just disagree with us. We'll have a conversation with you. But if you're sitting there, you're like, SJW, mentally handicapped, this and that, get out of Merca. What do you want me to say? All right, if you buy my plane ticket. Like, how do you expect me to respond to that? There's no
conversation to be had there.
There's no conversation to be had there. Now, I want to see if there is anything else before we wrap this one up. Oh, yes, there is Ion. Again, we can't read everything from Ion because, again, we would be here all night. But we have posted it down below, and you guys can see us talking about, looking at it right here. A lot of people have come forward. Now, they have not used their real names for the most part. And the reason why they haven't used their names, and if anyone says...
privacy of those coming out with their stories.
And also worried about them getting harassed. If anyone says, well, who's going to get harassed online? Look around you. Yeah. Look at what's been going on. So, again, you do have to trust this publication and them going out of their way to look into these. And funnily enough, one of these stories, and I don't want to, I don't want to out anybody, but it's just so obvious that I think anyone's going to come to this conclusion. The voice actor named Charlotte, which is not her real name, her story is almost word for word what Monica Reel said happened to her with Vic Mignogna. So, again, if you I'm not saying believe 100%, but if you are saying, oh, these are all made up, these aren't even real people that they went to. Again, that story mirrors what Monica Real has come out and said that we talked about earlier in the podcast episode. So I'm just like, these aren't fake people. These aren't fake events. Regardless of what you believe or not, these are not fake. So, that's all I want to say about that. Again, there's so much here that, again, we would be here all day if we read all of it. So we're just going to take it, post it down below. I really hope you guys read through it. And again, just realize that with some of these people coming out and some of these stories, like, again, what do they have? Because here's the thing too, right? So I want to say this, Tristan. For some people that are like, they want money and fame and power. How do you get that if you're anonymous?
Yeah.
How do you get that if you're anonymous on a webpage? If they want money and fame and they want to turn this into revenue, then how do you get that if you're anonymous?
Or even if you want to say, the IO9, like they have an agenda or something to that effect. It's like if it comes out that this, is allegedly some sort of agenda for them, then they're no longer credible as a news source, and then they go down.
And it's interesting too, because we mentioned this before, and a little bit, and I want to mention this now. So here's something interesting. You want to know another conspiracy that's coming up, Tristan? We have so many fucking conspiracies. This is one that was so new that when I learned about this, I didn't even get to tell you, Tristan, in time. Beth Elderkin, if she is the same Beth Elderkin that has worked with Mars Girl on Channel Awesome, which seems like it is from her IMDb page. Granted, her IMDb page does not even have her name on it. But if this is the same Beth Elderkin, then, it doesn't even have her face. But if she is the same Beth Elderkin, then what that means is she and Mars Girl know each other. Collusion? And it's like, Mars Girl went into a time machine 15 years ago and started all of these allegations. Hell, 30 with some of these other allegations, if they are to be, if they actually happened in 89, then I'll say 30, sorry. Actually, no, 30 years ago. I still think it's 2009. 30 years ago, what's going on here? So anyone talking about Beth Elderkin, look, man, you can say that, oh, wow, it's a crazy coincidence. But to say, like, no, there are no coincidences. Conspiracy confirmed. But wait, what does it confirm? That Mars Girl colluded with Beth Elderkin on this story. Wait, but what does that mean? That means that Mars Girl has been making this up. Okay, but Mars Girl never said she was assaulted. No, but she's making up her friend that was assaulted. Okay, then we disregard that one, and we look at the voice actors who've said that they've been assaulted, and the con-goers who have their name and face attached to their pictures. Or the other con-goer who said, hey, I actually was okay with this, so don't put me in this category, but she was also underage at the time of that weird hug and weird kiss on the cheek. So, again, like, there are people that are trying so hard to disprove this that logic is just being thrown out the nearest window.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they are colluding. But how? They know each other. But how is that? Like, Tristan, legitimately, I asked you.
How many steps do we have to add to this ladder to...
Yeah. No, but I actually have to ask you, like, how is that even anywhere close to collusion? Two people know each other, and one of them said, hey, I feel like we should talk about this and start this hashtag, and then the other one writes an article a few weeks later. I know how that sounds when you put it like that, but there were people, like, when you know that there were people who came out with this before Mars Girl talked about it,
right,
then it completely destroys any argument you thought you had.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just me. Tristan, what are your thoughts?
No, it's obvious. It's not like they're the only two who've come out with this either.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's literally...
they're all colluding together?
And that's the issue here, right? Is that when someone kind of opens himself up to believe one conspiracy theory just to prove that Vic is wrong that hard, all of a sudden they just open themselves up to anything. I mean, again, remember that we've gone through 3 conspiracy theories. Remember, we've gone through... oh, that one woman said that she was okay with it, so all of the women's pictures are not actually of Vic Mignogna harassing them.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. All of the pictures have been photoshopped, which I guess means that that woman was lying. Oh, shit, Tristan. She's working with Mars Girl and Beth Elderkin. She was in the Rissenbull Rangers. She's a plant all along. You see how fucking crazy this shit gets, everybody? And then we're supposed to believe that they're photoshops, and now also they're fake because two people know each other. Conspiracy? Yes, and a really dumb one at that. And I feel terrible because I don't want to call you guys dumb, because I don't know you guys. You guys are probably pretty cool cats, but like, these conspiracies that are being thrown around, that are being talked about as truth, are literally the exact opposite. They are misinformation.
Yeah.
They are the exact opposite of truth. And it's frankly disturbing that someone would look at this entire article, probably not even read it, just see the name and be like, who the fuck is Beth Elderkin? And be like, oh, she may have worked with Mars Girl. Because again, we don't even have her name. I'm sorry, we don't even have her face in the IMDb. But she may have worked with Mars Girl. That's because if someone had posted her actually like on video, oh, then that means they actually work together. But as far as we know right now, they haven't even maybe worked together. And yet still, here we are. It is just insanity in the highest form. And it goes to show you what happens when not only are there people who aren't even listening to their idol. Vic is literally saying, please stop. And they're not listening to their idol. And in some cases also, other YouTubers coming out, like that Yellow Flash guy, 2 guy. And when he comes out, and granted, he is a fan of anime. I'm not saying he's not a fan of anime, but he comes out and starts using these terms, these NPCs, these SJWs. And some of you are going to say down below, are you triggered? No, not particularly. But when you use terms like that, you then sit there and start bringing in people who are like, yeah, rah, rah, rah. And you start riling up this fan base. Now, again, I'm not saying that the comment in his comment section about that person who threatened Monica Rial, I don't want to say that's his fault, right? But still, when you rile people up and then start promoting bullshit conspiracy theories, he posted about this an hour after it went up and was like, see? It just shows you. It's like, shows you fucking what? Like, what does it show you? Because I hear it explained, but it just does not compute. And you can call me an idiot if you want to, but it just does not compute when you look at the situation and you go, oh, the two of them had worked together at one point, which means that everything is collusion.
Right. How does it automatically point to a collusion and an effort to slander Vic Mignogna just because they knew each other?
Yeah.
That's a jump logic.
Because here's the thing. We brought up in the Mars Girl story / video we talked about, we brought up the fact that Mars Girl has been accused of working with ANN. So now I'm confused. So is it Mars Girl with ANN, and then Funimation maybe with ANN and Mars Girl, and then now io9.gizmo.com, or specifically Beth Elderkin, right, working with them, and then there's photoshops? Like, does anyone see how, like, oh shit, wait a minute, that doesn't all make sense when put together?
It all starts to spiral out of control.
Spiral out of control into a sea of nothingness, because look, you don't want Vic to be guilty. That's fine. Like, you don't have to want Vic to be guilty. That's okay. Like, it's fine if you're sitting there like, look, man, I respect this dude. You're sitting there, you're like, he said some kind words to me in a time of need, and I don't want Vic Mignogna to be guilty. You can say that. No one is going to be upset at you for being honest with yourself if that's where you're coming from. Now, I'm not talking to Yellow Flash guy 2 at that point, because he only watches subs. So, which is why he mispronounces Vic Mignogna's name consistently. But still, when it comes to some of you guys out there, I'm not saying that you guys, don't feel this way. Like, you guys can totally feel about, like, hey, I don't want Vic Mignogna to be guilty. This hurts me on the inside. And I still love his anime. Hell, we said this in a previous video. You can still watch his anime. Watch his anime as much as you want to, right? But the thing is...
Or don't, if you don't want to.
Right, of course. Or don't, of course. But when looking at this, it's just to spiral into conspiracy and to then use that to try to discredit people.
It's not helping anything.
Not only is it not helping, but even if it's discredited, even if they are discredited, it still confuses me because I don't see the point. So if Mars Girl has been, like we mentioned earlier, been working with ANN for all this time, and now Beth Elderkin is related to her, and the fact that they used to work together at Channel Awesome, and Beth Elderkin wrote this article, there still were allegations when Mars Girl was like, I don't know how old she is now, but in her 20s, before she even talked about this in the 2000s.
Right.
What is, like, no one wants to bring that up, I feel. And again, that doesn't mean that that they're all accurate stories. But to say, I fucking stuttered like Porky Pig again. But to say that this collusion is happening, which proves, but what does it prove when the stories have already existed for over a decade? This woman Michelle just came out with her story, but these other stories have existed since the mid 2000s. So to say this is collusion is just it shows this. If you're reporting the news, it's ineptitude of the highest form. If you're not reporting the news, it's okay. You don't have to be informed about this. And by the way, it doesn't mean that we're super duper informed. Like, again, don't think that we're sitting here like we're the greatest. Like, we're also just two dudes online reporting this and talking about this. But it's the fact that for some reason we don't want to immediately jump to every conspiracy theory and immediately say that Vic Mignogna is innocent and that these people are lying sluts. All of a sudden, we're the SJW slurs. A lot of slurs. Yeah. You know, it's insanity is what it is, frankly. And you'll hear us talk a little bit more about this later with a different story that's come up that you would think we wouldn't talk about if we wanted to protect ourselves. But no, we're here to report the news to you guys. So we're going to bring it up a little bit later.